Hey Hope, this is Mike with Real Life Photography, and hold on one second. I'm going to pull up your email and see what preset requests. All right, so you wanted to see LXC, VSC OPEC 5, small, and Portra 160. So Portra 160 is part of the Film Essentials pack, and also Pack 1 and Pack 6. Now, Pack 6 is kind of it's a push-pull pack, so it's a little bit different, but I'll show you the difference between regular Portra 160 and push-pull. I'm kind of just going to select from the photos that you sent me which preset that I think would go well with that. If we have a little bit of time, well, I'll do some one-click edits with a variety of each one on a couple of the photos, so you can kind of see what they do. So I'm gonna start here with the first one, and we'll open this up and develop. So when I'm looking at these photos, I'm kind of looking at the greens and the yellows and trying to decide on what type of edit, and then also looking at the lighting. So particularly with this preset, I think I would probably start out, let's see, let's start out with LXC. Now the newest set they have is LXCN, and I like it a little bit better. It's a little bit nicer on the skin tones. So let's see, I think, take a look at that. No, I'm not feeling any of these, I don't think. No, I'm not feeling those. So let's look at Sven's preset. Now, the small presets, they're phenomenal. I mean, they do great skin tones. I'm not sure why they're not as popular as they are. They have gained some popularity as of late, and he's actually going to be releasing a new preset pack here soon that's a little bit more light and airy, Vice, kind of a warm, contrasty pack, like his first pack. So Sven preset number 1 is probably my favorite. I'm not sure if you like grain or not, but typically on client stuff, or if I'm shooting for somebody else, I go ahead and omit the grain just because I'm not sure what they're expecting. And then I tend to warm images up quite a bit, so I'm going to go there. I might drop exposure just a little bit. Give a little bit of shadow, whites. And I don't know how much you know about Lightroom, but if you move this little point right here, you could reduce the matte or raise it back up. So in this one, I think I'll go about halfway than what the original setting was. And he ends up, his presets are all sharpened at 45. I actually take that down to about 30. And that looks fairly nice there. I think I would reduce the blues just a little bit, because you can start seeing some blue tint in the white. So I reduce the blues a little bit just to kind of keep it from bleeding over onto the white. And let's see, I think I would reduce the yellows a little bit more as well. Let's look at the highlights. I think right about there. I think I would go with Sven's pack preset number 1 on this particular image, and that preset, actually, if I can't figure out what to make work on a particular image, it usually is my default, and I go straight to that one. So I'm going to reset this, and then I will edit it with Rook and Rover. I'm going to drop the exposure down a little bit. I'm going to warm her up. Warm it up a little bit. And just a little bit of contrast. And I like that as well. Maybe a little bit less. Somewhere right in there. And there's grain on this pack as well, and that's Rook and Rover. Alright, we'll do one more on this photo. I will show you pack 6. Well, let's look at pack 1 real quick. Sorry. So pack 1 has Portra 160 in it, but the greens are way too neon for me. I mean, you can quickly correct that, dropping the greens down, then dropping the yellows down as well, and then ultimately I'd warm it up, add some contrast, and I mean that's nice. I think I've muted probably the yellows a little bit too much, so we'll just warm it up just a little bit more. Maybe take the yellows up just a little bit, somewhere right in there. So that was pack 1 with Kodak Portra 160. Now I'm going to show you that push pull pack for pack 6, which also has Portra 160. And by default, I already like it. It's a lot more contrasty. Once again, I'll have to warm it up. Then I'm going to have to drop the yellows down. But I like that. I mean, you can do everything you need to do with pack 1 and just do all these adjustments yourself over here. But pack 1, I think, or pack 6, I'm sorry, if you're wanting to use Portra for anything, I think pack 6 is really the way to go. All right, so moving on to the second image. It's a nice looking family. First thing that I probably would do on this particular image is go ahead and crop down. So I hate that his sock is showing right here, and it's kind of distracting for me. But at the same time too, I don't want to cut off any limbs. But so what I might try to do is find just a happy medium of. Because that the way the little boy is positioned, let's look at what that looks like. See, and this is distracting me down here. So I think what I'll end up just doing is, unfortunately, chopping his little leg off a little bit. You have to make sacrifices at times. I'm not convinced I like that one either. I might not be able to find a crop that I like for this particular image. Yeah, I don't know if I don't think I'm gonna be able to find a crop that I particularly like for this image, but I will go ahead and show you the edit. So here's Portra 160 from push pull from pack 6, and I think it's just a little too much. I wouldn't even end up using that one after I clicked on it. So let's take a look. I know you said you wanted to look at pack 5 as well. Agfa Vista is nice. It definitely gives you nice pops of color, but I find that it, especially on darker skinned people, I have a tough time with their skin on darker people. Let's look at Kodak Gold 100, which is a little bit more subtle, but you still get nice pops. And it doesn't look bad. That doesn't look too bad. But let's look at let's look at small 1, small 3. Let's look at small 3. Like I said, it's got heavy grain on the image itself, but overall I kind of like how that looks one click. I don't know. This is a tough image. Let's look at LXC 2. And a lot of these look really, really close to each other. I'm sorry. And that one doesn't look bad either. And that was just really with one click. I would ditch the grain as well. Let's look at one more. I don't think the loft presets will look right. Here's Mastin's Portra 160. Not a fan of Mastin for the most part. Some people can really get it to look right, and it's really clean. I mean, that doesn't look bad. It's a nice clean edit. Yeah, I mean, it's a nice clean edit. Sorry, I'm rambling on. Let's just go ahead and jump to the next one. Are these guys brothers? Are these your kids? I like his hair a lot. So the first thing I noticed in the image is it looks like focus actually fell somewhere right in here, and it's soft on the eyes. So just be aware that sometimes, especially with kids, you might have to widen that out and shoot maybe at 3.2 or f4. I mean, it depends always on lighting as well. So let's look at my preset. So my preset is not perfect. And I don't think it's really going to work on this image, so we're just going to skip past that. I think for this image, I would use LXCN 02, which is fairly cool. It's a cool image. You can see the red splotches on the kid's face, but we should be able to take care of that here in a second. We'll actually drop the oranges down just a little bit. We'll reduce the reds as well. I think I would crop this up maybe just a little bit. Maybe down a little bit more, somewhere right in there. Yeah, especially if this was tack sharp on their eyes. I think this would be a cute photo. Let's see. We can reduce the reds a little bit more. Let's see where the reds are moving. So you can see the reds in there. Still a little splotchy. Let's check. I don't know. Let's just skip past the LXC in there and go with... That was the wrong part. Let's look at Portra 160 again. See, this isn't bad at all. I think this will be the one that works out the best, I think. And I think I like that. So Portra 160 is one of my favorites for especially indoors. If I'm using flash and stuff like that, I tend to use Portra 160 a lot. All right. I like this photo as well. I'm going to be having a new little baby here for too long, here in a couple weeks. Let's look what Ricker Rover looks like. And it's got a hint of red and kind of high oranges, but we can reduce the oranges a little bit. Reduce the reds a little bit. Maybe raise the greens just a tad. And I'm happy with the way that looks right there. I'll go ahead and kill the grain. And then they're a little bit softer on the sharpening 25, which is great. Alright, I would leave that one right there. That was Rick and Rover. So this image, I think you can do a ton of different edits on it. Just that directional light that's obviously coming from over here. You have a lot of white, and then she has nice skin tone. The baby has very good skin tones. No major red splotches. It should be fairly easy to edit. We can do several different things with this. So the first one I'm going to look at is Rick and Rover number 1. And you can see it has some hints of blue in here. We'll get rid of that. You can warm it up and get rid of some of it. And then we'll take and drop the blues down. Might take up the luminance of the blues as well. And possibly raise the whites. And I like how that looks. I would probably leave it exactly. I'd be happy with that edit right there, but because we're working with such a very good light on this photo, let's take a look. And this is my preset here. Like I said before, mine's heavy on the blues as well. You can warm this up a little bit. Maybe a little bit of exposure. Juice highlights a little bit, and then we're going to drop those blues out. We'll raise up these a little bit, and you can see that mine has a little bit of hint of green in it, and that's coming from this highlights right here. But if we take and we tweak that down, get almost into the reds and the magenta area, or the red area, reddish orange, it starts to look a little bit better. And then also I might take this down as well. Let's see, maybe somewhere right in there, and that looks pretty good as well. Don't be scared of the split toning down here. You can really change the effect of a preset by just messing with the split toning a little bit. I like that as well. We'll go one more time, maybe 2 more times. I really like this image. Let's look at LXCN. That's 1 click, and I would just leave it exactly the way it is. Probably drop the grain out. Maybe leave the grain in. I mean, the grain on this image I think would go very well with kind of just everything that is going on in the image. I think grain works real well here. Right. Let's go back to that. Let's look at, I bet you Loft would look good here too. C1. And I would leave it exactly the way it is right there. Maybe up the exposure just a little bit and drop the highlights down a little bit. I'd leave it just the way it is. Alright, let's look at something that we don't normally look at. Sandy Harkness's black and white, I think, is a good representation of what a black and white preset should look like. I think it looks great the way it is. I don't know if she has any grain turned on. I would probably up a little bit of grain. Go with something like that. I think that this is an image that could easily be black and white and look really, really good. Let's take a look at, I'll show you Agfa Vista one more time. You see what it does to the skin tones. It really oranges them up, and you see a lot of blues in the highlights here. I mean, like I said before, you can adjust that stuff out and not have to deal with it easily, very easily. Or, I mean, it just depends on how much time you want to do with tweaking. Let's look at Sven's presets, small. So the cool thing about the small presets, you also get these tonal packs as well, and I'll show you real quick what those look like. So that was preset number 1. Like I said it before, it's probably my favorite one of his presets. Look at 5. Yeah, let's go back to 1, maybe 3. 3's not bad. So we'll go to 3, and then from there you also get these tonal packs, which is, I mean, you can kind of read into what each one's going to kind of do to the image. Nature's Love. Cinematic is going to add a little bit of blue. Back to Nature's Love. Going to have a little bit of reds and Romantic. Earth Brown's going to have a little bit of brown. And this one's going to have some more warmth. So I think for this image, I would go with Nature Love and I would probably drop out some of the blues again and just leave it right where it's at. This is an excellent image. I think this is definitely by far my favorite one that I edited of the 5. Probably this one will be running a close second. I'm a documenter of my kids, so I will never be able to help you with posing or anything like that. I just know I can call things out when I see it. I think this was an excellent image. This one, I think the perspective was a little wrong. Maybe the pose was. I definitely didn't. This was distracting for me, the sock here, and it was really hard to get a nice crop on it. I know it's difficult when you have groups, but I mean, those are just things that jumped out to me. And then the image here was misfocused, and then you chopped off part of the hand here. But ultimately, I would have kept this shot just like you kept this shot, just because if my boys are ever being this sweet, I definitely want to hold on to that photo. So thank you for submitting your photos to me. I hope that I've been at least a little bit helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on Facebook. If you get a chance to like my page, I'd appreciate that as well. And check out my website from time to time because I post tutorials there a couple times a week. So if there's something specific that you want to see, or you're confused on how to do something in Photoshop or Lightroom, don't hesitate to message me, and we'll work it out, and I'll try to do up a video. Thanks. Have a good night.